Today's episode of Adapt and Respond is sponsored by Benjamin Banneker College, the only HBCU with a BBW, that is a big bad bachelor's in what it do, pretty mama. At the BBC, you can erect your education with such foundational skills as mackin', what's crack-a-lackin', is that your man or just your baby's daddy, and accounting. At the BBC, students gain the knowledge and experience to get money, rock ice, write prose, new money, new whips, new clothes, keep money everywhere we go. So if you're about trying to get this paper and get your degree, walk on down to the BBC and bring cash. Today's episode of Adapt and Respond is sponsored by Who is Mike Jones Event Planning. Getting married this year? Organizing a corporate function with all the trimmings? Who is Mike Jones Event Planning? Who? Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones. Who is Mike Jones Event Planning is your premier event coordinating and concierge firm. Who is Mike Jones Event Planning coordinates and caters events of all sizes, specializing in graduation parties, theme weddings, bar mitzvahs, quinceañeras, and Kwanzaa. Who is Mike Jones Event Planning wants to make sure that your event goes off without a hitch, and that means chopped and screwed planning ahead now. So put them H-Town haters on Front Street. Remember, back then, they didn't want you. Now you hot, they all on you. To make all your dreams come true, call Who is Mike Jones Event Planning at 281-330-8004. Now, let's get started with the show. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join the more than 212,000 subscribers to Adapt and Respond, a college football podcast. You can also catch us on Spotify and Apple, and answer the question in the comments below. What will Notre Dame's record be at the end of the regular season? And if you think they're going to be better than 10 wins, how deep will they go into the college football playoff? Okay, so off the rip, I got the homie in here on the comments every now and again. And by the homie, I mean Notre Dame fans. There ain't a whole bunch of y'all that watch this show. And I said as much, right? I've said that for a couple of years now. But homie comes through and he says, hey, man, just make some more Notre Dame content. And we ain't all like that. You know, some people got a problem with you, but I ain't got one. I ain't got one with you. I think you're pretty good. And I said, but y'all don't really watch Notre Dame content. Like, there's not even an ACC audience out there to really speak of. Not really, right? Because Florida State ain't been good for a couple of years. Clemson ain't been good for a couple of years. And Miami just ain't got that many alumnus. Or I should say alumni, excuse me. Alumnus is the male version of alumna. Alumni is them. But I said, okay, we'll give this a go with a Notre Dame preview because Notre Dame interests me in 2026 more than anything else. Why does Notre Dame interest me in 2026? Because it is laid out for them. This is the ultimate, you ain't got an excuse left in the world football team in 2026. This is the year when Marcus Freeman gets to use the wind at his back to tell his entire program, this is what they think of you. They don't think you're any good. They don't think that you belong in a college football playoff because they left you out with a Heisman caliber tailback in Jeremiah Love, who's a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, with a Heisman caliber talent at quarterback. And what going into this year is one of the deepest wide receiving cores that they ever had in their history. To say nothing of, damn, that defense is nasty. It's not just that Chris Ash has found his mojo again. It's that he's got Leonard Moore on the back end. And oh yeah, they got another tailback that could be a banger. Now, having said all of that, there are things that still rub me the wrong way about how Notre Dame gets down, right? And one of the things that rubs me the wrong way about how Notre Dame gets down is there is a special dispensation that is carved out for you that ain't for everybody else. And you got to understand that rubs everybody else wrong. It's like Ferrari and F1. Ferrari has a special dispensation for prize money because of what it means to the sport of Formula One. Notre Dame believes this about itself. And you know what? Good on them, because so does the college football board of managers, which gave them a memorandum, gave you, Notre Dame fam, a memorandum of understanding saying, hey, we realize that you are pissed, but we also put this on the books before you got left out last year. Going into 2026, if you are ranked among the top 12 teams in the college football playoff selection committee's rankings at the end of the season, following championship weekend, you will be invited to play in the college football playoff. That doesn't exist for any other team in football. The reason on the surface it exists for Notre Dame is because they don't play a conference championship. I would argue they should, just like everybody else. But it doesn't look like we're going to get there, right? Notre Dame has made a lot of money and a lot of fans being independent and doing it their own way. They don't need to play as the Divine Nine. They get invited to the kegger no matter what's going on. Somebody is always looking out for Notre Dame because it's the fine lady that you want to show up at your house. You know, she don't pay to get through the door. You just let her in and you give her free drinks. I think that there's lots of ladies that would like to get into the establishment, and you shouldn't be making these special dispensations for Notre Dame. But here we are, right? I had a former producer who's a Notre Dame fan. Dude went to Holy Cross just so he could get into Notre Dame later, like went the Rudy route. And we would get into this all the time because he genuinely believes Notre Dame is better than everybody else. If you're a Notre Dame fan and you get there, in your heart, you might believe that. But if you keep saying that part out loud, you're going to have to prove it. You're going to have to show it. And what Notre Dame has not done is win anything at all since, call it 1993. That because you don't play for a conference championship, so you can't win one of those. And you make it to the national championship game twice in the last 15 years, only to get demolished by Alabama and beat by Ohio State. And that's the way you want to live life. Okay, cool. Notre Dame be barnstorming, right? The alumni and the Subway alumni make it so. They sell out places. People want to see that team play. But going into 2026, I think everybody should want to see Notre Dame play. And if you're still listening at this point or watching at this point, I'm going to start saying nice things about Notre Dame because, well, man, I need to get that out of the way because you know it's me, and I'm going to keep it a buck with you. But CJ Carr is a Heisman caliber quarterback. He's coming off of a year where he threw for 2,700 yards, 24 TDs, and 6 interceptions. What is really interesting about that is he was still handing the ball a ton to this dude, Jeremiah Love. All right? He is developing into a guy. And it looks like Mike Denbrock might give him the Jaden Daniels treatment going into 2026 because he's going to be the most important player, perhaps the best player on that entire offense. So if we're talking about quarterbacks and we're talking about top 10 in the country, we are probably talking about CJ Carr and what he means. The quarterback situation is in a very good spot with him. That's what I'm getting at. So what else is going on over there? Well, I mentioned the wide receiver room is one of the most talented that they've ever had in my lifetime. I don't think they've had a more talented wide receiver room. Somebody's probably going to try to throw Chase Claypool and him at me, and I'm going to look back at you and still go, Jordan Faison's a dude. Jaden Greathouse is a dude. And then you get to add the two cast-offs in air quotes from Ohio State and Quincy Porter and Mylan Graham. There's a log jam at wide receiver at Ohio State because they're on an unprecedented generational run of development and putting first rounds in the NFL draft at that position, where you get to get a couple of guys that I genuinely believe could be first-round picks at wide receiver if you throw them the ball. So that's at least 4 guys that I know can catch passes from CJ Carr, which means you can air the ball out quite a bit more, but you might not have to because you have another great tailback, number 22, and Aeneas Williams, be giving me fits in college football playoff on EA 27. I mean, I watched the dude hand that guy the ball 9 times straight to open the game. Now, eventually, you know, we hit our run fits and I start to stack the box and go, you're going to have to beat me in man-to-man because I'm not having this. You're not going to just be pulling me off the ball and have Aeneas Williams pop me upside the head for 9 yards a hit, but that's what he does. Last year, he averaged 9.3 yards per carry. He didn't get the ball that often, but when he did, he's basically a first down. The year before that, 6.4 yards per carry. Now, he's never carried the ball more than 34 times in a season. That changes this year. And I think how good he is will give a great indication of how good we expect Notre Dame can be. So that offensive line's got 3 dudes on it that I really like too. Knapp, Craig, and Charles Jagusa. The offensive line at Notre Dame is storied. We still, like football geeks myself, we still think about Quentin Nelson and kind of go, damn, that dude played guard. It's unfair what they're capable of doing at the offensive line position there. And then every now and again, they get a standout defensive dude. And I don't mean like Manti Te'o, but you could throw him in. I mean, Xavier Williams. I mean, Jerry Tillery. Y'all remember him. They got dudes all over that defense. They just not always getting the national recognition that they sometimes deserve because they play on NBC and they play booty teams. The reason when we really start to care about Notre Dame is when they play somebody in the non-conference that we hear about, like A&M, and you lose that game. A&M makes the college football playoff and you don't. Or in the ACC, when you face inevitably whoever is going to be the best team in the ACC, whether it's Miami, Clemson, Florida State, right? We want to see that game. And we would love to see Notre Dame play Miami, Clemson, Florida State, Virginia, Duke, to reference the two that made the ACC championship game last year, in a championship game. It's just not going to happen. But given what I know and what I've just told you about the offense and the defense, and we know that Marcus Freeman is one of the 5 best head coaches in college football. I remember standing on the table while he was at Cincinnati as defense coordinator going, somebody make this man a head coach. This is one of the rising stars in the sport. And damn it, Brian Kelly said, come on, coach defense for me. And then Brian Kelly made the blunder of blunders, man. Talk about blundering your queen. That man got up to leave Notre Dame to go to LSU. And Marcus Freeman said, oh, yeah. No, I'll be head coach. I'll be head coach of Notre Dame. Yeah, I can do that. Converted all of that, right? And has not put a foot wrong. He has been an outstanding role model for young coaches. And he ain't even 40 yet. You mean? So we know all these things, right? Mike Denbrock had a Heisman winner, Jaden Daniels. Chris Ash, well, you know what he was doing at Ohio State as defense coordinator. You know, the Rutgers thing, we're going to let that go. It's Rutgers. We're going to let that go. So what could the schedule do for Notre Dame? Is the schedule tough? Do we think the schedule is hard at Notre Dame? It's embarrassingly easy is what it is. This is the other reason why I'm saying you out of excuses. All right, so check it. You open the season on a Sunday evening against Wisconsin. What was Wisconsin last year? 4-8. Then you play Rice. What was Rice last season? 5-8. Michigan State, 4-8. Purdue, garbage. My God. North Carolina, 4-8. Stanford, garbage. BYU, good football team. Maybe that'd be the best team you play all year. We'll see, right? Do I think BYU is good enough to beat Notre Dame? No, I don't think Notre Dame ends up winning that game as they replace USC, right? Navy, decent football team. Not as good as BYU. Ought to beat that ass. Miami, maybe you lose that game. Maybe. But that game is in South Bend. And I don't know what Darren Mensah knows about playing in South Bend. And while Mario Cristobal seems to have put down the whole I'm going to fumble the football on the sideline for my coaching decisions thing, we'll see, right? That feels like a pick 'em right now because they got dudes at Miami, particularly at wide receiver and tailback. Like Mark Fletcher is as good for me as any running back in college football this year. And then we could have even more discussions about like Malachi Tony and what he could do. But while, like I said, you got 4 guys that can catch the football. You know what I'm saying? Cooper Barcade might actually end up being a dude for Miami. It's a pick 'em, right? Chalk that one up just as a loss to humor me, right? Then you go to BC. What was BC last year? Garbage. Yeah, 4-8. 4-8. Yeah, no, 2-10. Jeez. 2-10. SMU, good football team. Syracuse, we'll see, dog. Like, Steve Angeli might make them decent, but are they decent enough to beat Notre Dame? And would Steve Angeli have a little bit more juice? Because He knows what time it is. He knows that they moved on to somebody else when it was him that came in to steady the ship when Riley Leonard went down. Probably. So at worst, I'm looking at 10-2. And that's like if you mail it in. If Notre Dame comes out on the revenge tour that they claim to be on, where they are hurting because they feel so disaffected, I mean, maybe they play the whole season like their hair is on fire. Maybe they do. I'm not sure. I need to see this Notre Dame team play all the way through because I just don't know how mad they are. And that might be getting at what the mentality is for this program. I know what Marcus Freeman's mentality is, and I'm generally the person that says your football team is going to take on the mentality and the attitude of your head coach. Okay, see how nasty y'all can be up there, because there ain't nobody really afraid of the Golden Domers. We got a healthy respect, but nobody's afraid of them. Yeah, people are afraid of Indiana. People are afraid of Ohio State. People used to be afraid of Clemson. People used to be afraid of Bama. People are afraid of Georgia. I submit to you, who the hell is afraid of Notre Dame? 2026, maybe you'll be able to show me.